Good afternoon, students. Today we'll discuss the topic sales related marketing policies. The learning objectives of today's discussion will be limited to the introduction to the marketing policies, and then we'll mainly discuss three types of marketing policies. The first one is product policies, which is related to what to sell. And second is distribution policies, which answers the questions who to sell. And third one is pricing policies, which answer the questions for how much to sell. So let's first of all discuss what are the marketing policies, why these are important, who has the responsibility to frame these policies. The marketing policies are basically something that describes guidelines within which the effort to reach personal selling objectives is made. And there are three major types, as you had seen on the last slide. The three major types are the product policies, distribution policies, and the pricing policies. Now, the basically the marketing policies are framed by the marketing department because means there is a one term that is called marketing mix, which consists of product, price, place, and promotion. And this is something that has to be decided by the marketing team of the organization. But this role of the sales executives in determining these sales related marketing policies vary from company to company. So on one extreme, we can say the role of the sales executive uh, is just to determine, is not to determine the marketing policies, but just to administer the policies that has been laid down by the higher management. And on the other hand, the sales executives might have the sole responsibility to frame these policies. So, means the role of the sales executives in framing these policies varies from organizations to organization. These policies, these sales related marketing policies directly influence the job of sales executives, as these policies provide direction, and the sales executives plan how the company will reach personal selling objectives as they organize their selling effort, as they manage the sales force, and as they control the sales effort. So, now we'll discuss the very first type of marketing policies, that is the product policies. Now, product policies of any sales organization answers the questions what to sell. The product a company sells determine its basic nature, as the organization uh, visualize opportunities to make or to market certain products, the company come into existence. And when it grows, the management makes key decision on product, whether they should drop some product they were earlier making, or they should add some new product because the product had become obsolete over the period of time. So now there are many factors that has to be considered while designing the product policies. First is relation to the product objectives. Product policies are something that serves as guides for making product decisions. They derive from the product objectives. For example, if the product objective of any company is to make and market products requiring only a minimum of service after their purchase by consumers, so their product policy will spell out how this objective will be achieved. So they'll just list out means what kind of product they'll manufacture that require a very limited type of service after it's been sold. Second thing that has to be considered is the line policy. So before understanding the product line policy, you need to understand what a product line is. So a company's product portfolio consists of a product mix. So product mix is a combination of the different product lines being manufactured by the organization. Let's take an example of ITC, Indian Tobacco Company. They deal in lifestyle products with their brand Wills Lifestyle, and they are into the stationery product with their brand name Classmate. They also means they have these toiletry brand called Vival, and then they are into the food items under the name Kitchens of India. They also have the hotel line. So means product line consists of the related products. So means stationary items being manufactured by the ITC is one product line. So here we are not talking about the product mix, but we are talking about the product line. Hopefully you have got the idea what the product line is. So under the product line policy, we need to decide upon the width of a product line. So width of a product line could be either a short line or the full line. Let's say a company that is dealing in bath products. So a short line would only be they are manufacturing only the bath soaps. But if they add on bath oils or they add on bath salts, then it will be a full line kind of company. So this particular policy, product line policy, deals with the questions related to whether to go for a short line or to go for a full line. Uh, the extent to which a short line policy should be pursued is governed by the amount of risk that the management is willing to assume, because narrower the line of a company, the greater would be the risk. But on the other hand, if the firm concentrates on the large number of products, the risk will be lesser. So under product line policy, a number of decisions are required to be taken, and the first one is changes in product offerings. So all the items in a product line should be reappraised at the regular intervals, because it serves two purposes. First purpose is to determine whether individual items are still in line with the market demand, and the second purpose is to identify that which item should be dropped from, or which one should be added to the line as per the current demand. So unless the product line is appraised, the company will never be able to know this thing, because the market demand keep on shifting, and the more alert competitors, they may capture large market shares in the case company is not reappraising its product line and it's continuing with the existing product line on a further longer time. So it doesn't matter which particular group formulates the product policies, but the role of sales executive is quite important. He or she must participate in the product line appraisals, because they compared with other executives who are making the policies. Sales executives are the one who are having direct contact with the customers, and they are having better knowledge of the changing need of the customers. Second decision that has to be made in line with the product line policies is reappraising the product line and line simplification. So for doing so, each item in the product line is compared with the similar items and competing items in other manufacturers' lines. So the focus here is to identify the strengths and weaknesses, um, or to consider which particular feature of a item is considered desirable by the consumer, and to eliminate the features that are not considered good by the consumers. Now, the most critical factor considered in reappraising the product line is the profitability, because generally a product in line should not be retained unless it meets standards for profitability or it shows promise of meeting them. So, but before dropping any item because of inadequate profitability, other factors should be taken care of. So sometimes even if some particular items showing poor profit, uh, it is um, it is retained because some companies, they cater to customers or dealers who expect a full line of rigs. So I'll explain this with an example. Generally, for most of the companies, repair and replacement parts are unprofitable. Let something we call means mostly we in case of automobile companies or the durable goods, they manufacture their service parts only. The service parts, the parts, they are not as profitable as the final product, but they have to do so because it is the demand of their consumers. And on the other hand, sometimes it is desirable to drop a profitable product. This happens because mm, it could be used to better advantage on behalf of a product with a brighter future, or in which the company has a greater investment. Third factor that has to be considered in line with the product line policy is the reappraising the product line and the diversification. So sometimes the management of the organizations make reappraisal of the line in relation to the growth objectives. Diversifying means diversifying into the newer areas, into the newer product, or making means and the new product could be related to the existing product. As I gave you an example of a short line company that was earlier manufacturing only bath soap. So that company can extend its product line by adding on more product to become the full line company. So that is one way of diversifying into the related products, or company can altogether enter into the newer markets with the different products. So sales department is one such department that pushes hard for the line diversification, because they are the one who are having direct contact with the market, and they keep close watch on the market acceptance of new product of the other manufacturers. So with the objective of holding the market share of the company, or to improve upon the market share held by the company, they may suggest to go for introduction of the newer products. But apart from the sales department, many other means department, they can also um, give an idea for diversification for the other reasons, because production department may search for newer products because they have unused plant facilities. They want to means utilize their plant to the fullest, so they may suggest to introduce new products so they can utilize their facilities well. Now, the question arises, whenever the company wants to introduce new products, who are the one who will give the idea for new products? So the idea for new products come from anywhere, that from the internal sources or from the external sources. So the sales department may identify the unsatisfied needs of the consumers, because they deal with them on daily basis. So the production department may suggest some improvements in the existing product. The research and development department may give up some idea for new product, because this is the part of their routine activities, because research and development department keeps on searching for the newer features to be introduced into the market. Appraisal of proposed new products. So as means the company may get a lot many ideas for introducing new products. So it is a good idea to appraise the new ideas for the new products, because every idea may not be equally profitable for the company. So these ideas may be appraised on the basis of answer to many questions, that will this particular item will add to the profitability, or what will be the nature or size of the markets which we can cater with the new product, or what would be the likely competition, considering the pricing, sales programs, and the legal implications for introducing such markets. So based on these, the product line policy could be appraised. So third type of product means factor that is considered in line with the product policy is called product design policy. So two main policy decisions on product design are considered, and the first one is the frequency of design change, and second one is the extent to which design should be protected from copying. Now, in case of many products or many industries, frequent introduction and promotion of design changes is done. Means examples are clothing industry, automobiles, home appliances, mobile phones, etc. Um, this design changes are undertaken because these design changes makes the product more attractive, and the users are automatically persuaded to replace the old models they are having with the newer ones. And this also means this design change also weaken their resistance to the emphasis on price, and it also assists in stimulation of salespeople and dealers, and provide new inspiration to the advertising department as well. But a policy of changing design frequently is not appropriate for all companies or for all type of product. Um, Another thing, the second point related to the product design policies that is relevant is the policy on design protection, and it is related to the policy on frequency of design change. If the design change is undertaken very frequently, as we discussed that in case of means clothing items, because these are fashion items, so it keeps on changing very frequently. So the policy on design protection will not be relevant in case of such products, because till the time the policy will be designed, the design will change. So the policy on design protection is relevant in case of those products, means which are technical, and the core design of which is not changed. So in those cases, the policies on design protection has to be decided upon. So we had discussed these two things, the frequency of design change and the extent to which design should be protected from copying. Next thing is that has to be considered in relation to the product policy is the product quality and the service policy. So for each type of product, whether those are consumer products or the industrial goods, product quality and service are related. So high quality product require less service, and low quality product need more service. So buyers expect product performance to vary with the quality. So manufacturers with high quality products may offer liberal service policies. So often on the product quality is a matter of characteristics that are built into the product, and there are some factors, there are some features that buyers cannot judge. Means technical features are quite deep, and every buyer may not have understanding of these technical features. So the maintenance and improvement of product quality are important matters for the sales department in case the quality deteriorates. um, so manufacturer services policies take different forms. The simplest form of it is to provide for the education of the buyer in assisting them in understanding how to use the product and how to take care of the product. And the other service policies include providing for product installation, inspection, and repair. So, when a company adopts a formal service policy, sales management should make it part of their promotional program. Another thing that is relevant with this product quality and service policy is guarantee. Uh, Guarantee, or sometimes there is warranty also. These are serve as the sales promotional devices, because guarantee policies act as a guide against abuse of the service policy. So if the product does not perform as represented, the grantor may promise to replace it, to refund the purchase price or a multiple of that price, to furnish the purchaser with the competitive product at no expense, or to remedy defects free of charge or for a small fee. So when a guarantee is used for promotional purposes, its terms are liberal. When used for products protection, its terms are means intertwined with the number of conditions and restrictions. Guarantee may not be availed so easily when it is a formal policy. So those guidelines has to be decided in advance by the sales executive. So the second type of marketing policies that we decide upon is the distribution policies. So distribution policies are important determinant of the functions of the sales department. So the choice of a particular marketing channel or channel sets a pattern for sales force operations, both geographically and as to the customers from whom sales personnel solicit orders. So under distribution policies, the various things that are being various points that are being taken care is, first one is the policies on marketing channels. So this is one of the most basic of the various marketing decisions, that how many number of marketing channels should be used. So there are two type of marketing that the company might be serving. It could be the consumer markets or the industrial markets. So the companies that are selling to the consumer market, they have a choice of 5 main channels, and the one who are selling to the industrial market, they have the choice of 4 options. So the manufacturer selling to the consumer market may have the option of selling directly to the consumer or engaging a retailer in between them and consumer. Third option is to engage in seller, both wholesaler and retailer in between the consumer. So here the company is not selling directly to the consumer, but it is selling to the wholesaler. They are in turn selling to the retailers, and then retailer is selling to the consumer. Then another could be to introduce the agent wholesaler, and then merchant wholesaler, and then the retailer, and then retailer will deal with the consumers. So another fifth type is to engage in agent wholesaler, who will sell to the retailers directly, and the retailers will directly sell to the consumers. So while deciding upon how many number of marketing channels to be included, the question that is quite relevant is to look for the sales volume potential. So for all type of the channel options we are considering, the key question to be answered is, can enough potential buyers be reached to absorb the desired quantity of the product? So the answer to this question can be found through the market analysis. So the data is secured from the company's own records or from the external sources of the market statistics or the field investigations, and then this data is being analyzed. So the most important factors that influence any channel sales potential are the ability of their sales management and the excellence of its planning and its skill in implementing the sales program. Another factor that is considered while selecting the marketing channel is to have the comparative distribution cost. So distribution cost studies show that the costlier channels are the shortest one. That means if the company is selling directly to the consumer, their marketing cost will be higher as compared to when they have engaged in wholesalers and retailers in between, because in this case all the marketing cost has to be incurred by the company directly because they don't have any assistance in between. So their distribution cost will be compared, their distribution cost will be higher. So direct sales to the consumer is more common in industrial goods rather than the consumer goods. But I have already told you, the cost of selling directly is high as compared to engaging in the wholesalers and retailers in between. So here also, even if the company is into the industrial goods and they are directly selling to the industrial buyers, so industrial buyers will be very few as compared to the final consumers, but still the cost of selling directly to the industrial buyers will be higher. Next factor that has to be considered mm, while deciding the type and number of the marketing channels is the net profit possibilities. So higher sales volume potentials will be meaningful only when it is considered in relation to the distribution cost. So a channel that is having the high sales potential may involve the high distribution, causing the low net profit. So on the other hand, and a channel that may not produce the worthwhile sales volume may involve the low distribution cost. So while deciding upon while selecting the marketing channels, we need to consider the net profit possibilities of each of the marketing channel. This will give us a better idea of which particular marketing channel we need to engage in. Next, policies that has to be considered in line with the distribution policy is related to the policies on the distribution intensity. So the choice of marketing channels is intertwined with the policy on distribution intensity. So at each level of distribution, decisions are made on the desired number of outlets. It is advisable to decide first upon the policy to be followed at the distribution. So three type of policies could be followed under this. First is mass distribution, second is selective distribution, and third is exclusive agency distribution. When the company is following the mass distribution, they aim for maximum sales exposure by securing distribution through all those outlets from which final buyers might expect to purchase the product. And this type of policy is used in distributing the consumer convenience items like cigarettes or groceries. So these items are very easily available in each and every convenience stores. So because much differentiation is not possible in case of these products, so there is no need to follow the exclusive or selective distribution policy for these kind of products. The second type of distribution policy is selective distribution. And it means selecting only those outlets that can best serve the manufacturer's interests. So the criteria are set up to provide guidance in the selection of the accounts, and on the basis of these criteria, some particular outlets are selected which can keep our product. Third is exclusive agency distribution. Exclusive agency distribution is an extreme form of the selective distribution. So in this type of distribution policy, the manufacturer makes an agreement, either written or oral, with the middleman in each market area, stipulating that the distribution of the manufacturer's product or products within that area is to be confined solely to that middleman. So this type of means exclusive distribution is popular in case of the products such as automobiles or household appliances or the luxury product basically. So when this policy of exclusive distribution is followed, so it is implied thing that the exclusive distributor cannot stock the competitive items. They'll solely stock the items that are related to the concerned manufacturer. So now we are done with the distribution policies. The next one is the pricing policies. So the pricing policies are related to the fact that for how much we can sell a particular product. So the sales executive's role in formulating pricing policy is only advisory. but all sales executives are responsible for implementing pricing policies. So they are not the one who will be framing these policies, but they are the one who will be implementing the pricing policies being designed by the top management. So under the pricing policies, the factors that are considered are, the first one is policy on pricing relative to the competition. So every company has a policy regarding the level at which its products are priced relative to the company, relative to the competition. So the company has choice uh, between three type of approaches. The first one is meeting the competition. If the company wants to meet the competition, it will price exactly according to the competitor. If they are selling some item for 15 rupees, its price will be 15 rupees as related to their competitors. Second approach is to price above the competition. So um, this type of approach is less common, but it is quite appropriate in some situations. Sometimes higher than the average price convey the impression of above average product quality or the prestige. If so, if the company wants to establish its product as the quality product, they may charge the high prices as compared to their competitors. But this type of policy means charging above the competition needs the support of strong promotion by both the manufacturer and the middleman involved. And the third approach is to price below the competitors. So not manufacturers, but those with sales force willingly price under the competition. So, however, some, such as in the clothing industry, price under their competitors and appear to have demonstrated, at least to their own satisfaction, that aggressive pricing increases marketing demand and keeps new competitors from entering the field. So, this type of approach is not relevant in case of each and every industry. Second factor that is considered is policy on pricing relative to the cost. So each and every company has a policy regarding the relationship between its product price and the underlying cost. So the long run of the company should cover all the long run costs, but doesn't necessarily mean that the short run sales revenue do not have to cover the short run cost. So the company, while considering pricing in relation to cost, can go for full cost pricing. Full cost pricing is where no item is sold at a price lower than that covering the total cost. Means that total cost means both, including both the fixed cost as well as the variable cost. Then second type is the promotional pricing. So in case of many industry that produces consumer non-durables, pricing is a promotional tool. So the company that has launched a new product may introduce it at a special low introductory prices. So this case is evident in case of Jio, because they have launched their newer services of 4G data at almost free. And then third approach could be the contribution pricing policy, which means pricing at any level above the relevant incremental cost. Next is the policy on uniformity of prices. So if the company is selling to a number of buyers, and while deciding upon the pricing for different buyers, they can choose between a one price policy or the variable price policy. So one price policy means charging the single same type of price from each and every customer, and the variable price policy means charging different prices from different type of consumers. So the variable price policy is common wherever individual sales involve large sums, as in many industrial marketing situations. So the bargaining power of individual buyers vary with the size of the transaction. The more this the size of the transaction, the lower will be the price charged from the that particular customer. Next thing that has to be decided upon is the policy on list pricing. List pricing means resale prices. So most of the times you see that the MRP is mentioned on the price, that anyone selling to the customer cannot charge the price more than that. So a marketing distributing through middlemen should not either it does not suggest standardized resale prices, or they seek to control middlemen's resale prices through list pricing. So the list pricing takes a variety of forms, and the two most common are: first is printing the price on the package, or second is requiring salesperson to suggest the resale prices to the buyers. Next is the policy on discounts. So the manufacturer that are selling both to the wholesalers and retailers may quote different prices. ठीक है? And that the different prices charged by them is called trade discount. Let's say when they are selling to the manufacturer, they are offering a discount of 5% on every item's list price, and when they are selling to the retailer, they are giving 2.5% in discount to them. This is called trade discount because it depends upon the size of the order being placed by their trade account. Second type of discount is the quantity discounts. So quantity discounts are basically the price reductions that are granted for purchases in a stated quantity or quantities, and are normally aimed to increase the quantities customers buy. So it is always offered for buying the goods in the large quantities. Another um, point that is relevant the pricing policies is the geographical pricing policies. So this geographical pricing policies basically answer the question that who should pay the freight for delivering the product to the buyers. And there are three options, three alternatives available to the company. First one is FOB, that is free on board pricing. So under this approach, the customer buying the product pays the freight. Second is delivered pricing, wherein the seller pays the freight. And third is freight absorption, wherein a compromise between the it is a compromise between the first two approaches, that is freight on board and the deliverable pricing. That means some portion of the freight is borne by the manufacturer and the other half is the paid by the customer itself. Then a policy on price leadership. So all the marketers, they should decide whether they'll initiate the price changes or they'll follow the price changes. In some industries, there are well-established patterns of the price leadership. Let's say we can say that price of petrol or diesel are means decided, and every company, every means have petrol pump has to sell the petrol or diesel on that particular price only, so they cannot charge the prices different from that. Then next is the product line pricing policy. So pricing the individual product in each product line calls for the policy decisions. So the different line different items in a product line compete with each other. That means that the buyer who is buying one product in the line does so to exclude the other items in the product line. Let's talk about the chocolates offered by the Cadbury. So means the one who is buying Cadbury, he or she is excluding the other choices available such as Cadbury Silk, Bonville or Five Star or Perk, etc. So um, deciding the price for each product being offered in the product line is called product line pricing policy. And last factor that is relevant is competitive bidding pricing. So in case of certain products, industrial and government buyers solicit competitive bidding from the potential suppliers and award the business to the bidder offering the best proposal. So a proposal may be selected as best for a number of reasons. And those reasons could be the price offered, the delivery dates, or the reputation for the quality, etc. So wherein means this type of bidding, so the company who invites bidders, they should also design a policy related to the competitive bidding. So that's all about the sales relating marketing policies. Thank you so much, students.